I hope that you have had a good week. I've had a great week. My kids started school. And to be completely honest with you, I've been looking forward to that since, what's the day they got out of school? So my kids, I have 4 kids, ages 11, 9, almost 7, almost 5. And we are so blessed because my husband started his career as a personal trainer when we first got married, and he happened to have a lot of the Hazel Grove teaching staff that he was personal training. And from my understanding, and some of the more cultured Unity folk can tell me if this is right, I believe that Unity Village gave Hazel Grove to the Lee Summit School District, yes. And so I'm telling you this as just a tip of the iceberg in one of the ways that Unity blesses me and my family. It's this little elementary school right across the street. And even if you go in the school, it's old cinder block, the cinder block kind of walls, and it's just got an essence about it that is so special. And I love when I get to go volunteer there because it has that, even though, of course, it's not Unity, anymore, it still has that feeling of belonging. It has that feeling of inclusion. And I just feel so grateful that my kids get to be a part of that. So when we were house shopping, we were strategically looking for a house in the school district of Hazel Grove. We wanted our kids to go there. And so we happened to find a plot of land. It hadn't even gone up for sale yet, about a mile down the road from Unity, about a mile from my husband's family. And it just kind of felt like one of those things that was meant to be. So we got the house for free because it was in such rough condition. And we bought the land, got the house for free, and started this fixer-upper journey. During this time, we decided to do what all the cool kids on Instagram were doing and buy a camper and move into the camper with the 4 kids. And so it took about a year to you raising your hand. Have you done the same thing? Okay. So and of course, because we're trying to save money and be so thrifty, we bought it from my grandparents. It was a tiny camper, 33-footer, and crammed these 4 children. I mean, if you could have seen our bunk beds, boom, 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 like we were crazy, absolutely crazy. And during that time, I was going through, and it sounds funny to say, I'm going to say it, it's going to sound like a joke, I'm not trying to make a joke. I was going through a really tough time personally because of, I think, just underestimating or overestimating my personal capacity. And so everything that I thought, oh yeah, I can do that. We'll do the camper, we'll do the fixer-upper. This was 2021, so my business was changing pretty dramatically. There was a lot going on all of a sudden, and I found myself in search of some new philosophies. Now, I don't know about you, but I have had some philosophies that I would fight to the death about, and then later in life, I realized that I don't agree with that anymore. So parenting, for example. My child will eat what's on their plate. Like, that's the way we do things. They're going to eat what's on their plate. Well, my firstborn was born and had oral sensory stuff. So, that philosophy changed as I watched my child be unable to eat the food on his plate, right? So we have philosophies, I have philosophies that work for me until they don't. And at this time, 2 of the philosophies that I was searching for were... One of them was religion. I grew up in a pretty what's the way I want to say this? Traditional, very, very strict. I'll just put it that way. Very strict religion. And that wasn't working for me anymore. And also my philosophy on purpose. So I kind of had a philosophy on purpose that said something like, somewhere out there, there's a list of 10 commandments that is my purpose. And if I could find that, like this specific degree, and then this specific job, and then this specific career, or this specific amount of children, or this specific, then I will finally feel this eternal bliss that I expect that one would feel as they were living in their, quote, purpose. That wasn't working for me because as much as I tried to find that list didn't exist. And I remember sitting on my bed. I was having some pretty significant health crises as well. Sitting on my bed thinking like, if I could just get that list of my purpose written in the clouds, oh, God, I am your willing servant. I will go do whatever it is that you, but the list never came. And so I was called to personally redefine what purpose meant for me. If purpose isn't a list of things to quote unquote do, then what is purpose? So I found myself sneaking in. At the time, Unity Village Chapel was meeting in the Goppert Center. So I would sneak in the back row at 10:31 a.m. The service starts at 10:30 because I wasn't looking to like have community. I just wanted to like learn some stuff. What is this place? This is so interesting. I live a mile down the road. I'm going to check it out. So I'd come in at 10:31, and then right before this prayer of peace, where you have to hold hands and get all intimate with everyone, I would just peace out, like prayer of peace out was my version of prayer of peace, or prayer of song of peace, whatever. And what is it called? Peace song, yeah. So my version of the peace song was, peace out, I'm not staying here, but I would sneak in, and for about a year, I did that with Unity. And the more that I got around it, now at first, I'm going to be honest, I loved the vibe, but there was a lot of words that Unity used that were just over my head. Collective consciousness, breathe into the space. I'm like, I do not understand any of this. Give me something concrete, But I stuck with it, and I just continued to grow. And every time I would walk in the chapel, I would be stimulated by new ideas that may challenge ways I was thinking, provide some tools for me, or even just give me more to work with as I was redefining these philosophies. And so, the idea for me that purpose was a to-do list is kind of where I'm going to be taking this talk today. And my hope is that I kind of have two hopes. One is that I can give what other people have given to me by just throwing out some ideas. I don't have anything today that I think is like, write this down as a solid, I don't have anything like that, but I do have ideas that I want to share with you. And if you like them, take them, try them on, see if they work for you. And if they do, great, keep them. If they don't, let them go. That's all I'm asking. And the second objective is I would like, and I know this is a really tall order, but my objective for our time today is to potentially inspire you to take responsibility for your magic. And Unity uses the term unrepeatable soul, or divine. You are divinely inspired. You are a divine being. That was one of the things that they would say that went over my head, that I kind of was like, well, what exactly does that mean to be divinely inspired? Or what does that mean to be an individual expression of divine love energy? And this is where the two kind of things I was wrestling with came together. And I'm going to explain to you how I think of divine expression, how you are a divinely inspired, unique, unrepeatable soul, and how that may just fit into a new philosophy about purpose, and how that may also give you the idea to take more responsibility for the magic that you are. So I do have a little bit of a caveat before I share with you my new philosophy on purpose that I've been living with for the last few years. That's really been working out for me pretty well. The caveat or the warning label is that at first it kind of sounds like a notebook you may find at TJ Maxx. It may sound like something your 12-year-old niece would be saying, and you might kind of eye roll. So I'm going to say that, and then I'm also going to say that warning label will change. If I continue on and explain, then maybe it will make sense for you. So here's my philosophy on purpose. Try it on. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, let it go. Your purpose isn't something you do. Rather, purpose is an energy you get to have when you are living in your magic. Purpose is an energy you get to have when you are living your authenticity. Purpose is an energy you get to have, let's put it in Unity terms, you get to have when you are living confidently, your individual expression, the way you were wired. The difference in the way that I was seeing purpose and the way that I do see purpose is that instead of a to-do list, it's rather more like a to-be list. It's more about the state in which you live versus the what you are doing. I was connecting a flight I was flying from Asheville, North Carolina to Kansas City a few months ago, and I had a layover in Chicago. And we landed on the runway. We're doing so great. Ahead of time, I opened my app. I'm like, oh, perfect. I'm going to have 25 minutes to get to my gate. That's going to be perfect. We didn't open the doors. Have you ever been on a flight where it's just like, okay, they keep updating. Okay, guys, we're waiting on the crew on the ground. We're waiting on them to open. And you're thinking, oh gosh. So I kept refreshing. I'm like 4 minutes to my gate, 3 minutes to my gate. I wanted to get home to my kids so bad. Oh my gosh, 2 minutes to my gate. I'm telling you, now the story didn't go as I would like for it to. I did get delayed. But if I would have gotten off that plane, going to my gate, there was no question in my mind about where I was going. The energy of purpose was present because I was very clear about what it was I was trying to do. I was trying to get on that plane, get home to Kansas City, get to my kids before they wake up tomorrow morning, period. That energy of purpose, we all have probably felt that feeling. That's a really great feeling. Before my philosophy redefine, I thought that feeling would come from maybe having the to-do list, having the degree, having the specific job, doing the specific volunteer work, and all of those to-do lists. And then I realized I get to have that purpose energy, that connecting flight energy, that I know where I'm going energy, when I am clear about my individual expression. Another example of this, and I don't want to spend too much time here, is flower girls. They know their one job, right? They're supposed to walk down the aisle, throw the flowers, and look cute while they do it. They know where they're going. That's an energy of purpose. It's more about a state than it is a list. And so I believe that the energy of purpose is a feeling you get to have when you are clear about your individual expression. And of course, Unity uses the term individual expression, and we're diving off the deep end here, but Unity teaches that you are an individual expression of divine love. In simple terms, and I know this may be going back to kindergarten, but that kind of just really is summed up in like brand new Bethany at the back of Unity speak would be like, there's only one you. There's literally only one you. And on a surface level, we may think of this as physical traits, right? Like in kindergarten, they said, there's only one of your thumbprint. There's only one of your fingerprint. That's awesome. There's only one who has the exact DNA hair strand as you. There's only one who has your face, whatever it is. Physical traits are usually where this conversation goes. But as we dig deeper into what that means, really it's interesting that not only do we appear different in the world, we also interpret the world very differently. If there was, say, cords behind me hanging down, some of you would not even be able to hear what I'm saying because you'd be so distracted by how you were interpreting the world, the cords would need to be in order. Or if a picture frame was tilted. Or if there was a different color, the way that we interpret the world, the way that we each individually taste a strawberry, the way that our taste buds are on our tongue, literally, everything about the way that we perceive information, what we keep, what we get rid of, is all individual. So where my brain has gone with this is it's not only a gift to get to live your individual expression as the gift that you are, to benefit other people around us, it's also a gift to be you. No one is experiencing the world exactly as you are, just as no one is experiencing the world exactly as I am. In a sense, that could feel lonely, and in another sense, that's absolutely wonderful. We walk outside, and the way that we literally feel outside is a unique expression of love energy. It's a unique experience that we're getting. We used to have a cat that would go outside, and she just freak out. Like you could just almost see the millions of smells hitting her nose and all the hair on her back. Whoop, she just didn't really feel great outside. And I think of it. Her name was Marcia. If Marcia was a human, Marcia may feel some type of way about not being comfortable in her own skin. She might have some sort of shame about that. But actually, Marcia's getting a unique experience. We kind of joke. We have a family member who we think feels the world like Marcia. My husband and I joke that maybe that this family member feels in the world the way Marcia does. But also, he goes outside, it's like uncomfortable, not super great, doesn't feel good, prefers routine, all that. But also on the flip side, there's so much of a unique experience that family member and all of us in our own ways are getting. I'm going off on a little tangent there, but I want to talk about this. If you did come here with specific wiring, which is what we believe, individual expression of love energy, completely unique, specifically designed and ordered here by God, I would love to dive into that wiring. Obviously, it's not going to be a one-on-one conversation because we've got a group here, but if you came here with a specific wiring, I would like to talk about that wiring for a minute. Because what I know for a fact is if you don't understand, first of all, your wiring, I'm going to say your wiring, I could say your magic, I could say your individual expression. All of those terms are the same thing to me. Your gifts, your isms, the way you are. If you don't understand them, there is no way you're going to appreciate them. If you're not going to appreciate them, there's no way you're going to prioritize living them. And if you don't prioritize living in them, you don't get the experience of being in them, and you also don't get to give the gift of everyone else experiencing you as well. So if you have a notebook, and if not, maybe you can get your notes app or just keep it in your brain. I don't care either way. I'm going to share 3 kind of main ideas of ways that would begin your journey of you understanding your wiring, your individual wiring. The first one is values. Values. And Reverend Chris Jackson did a series on values several years ago. It would be worth digging up the archive if this is work you're looking to do. It was one of the best values talks I've ever heard in my life. He defined it differently, not as, he defined it in unity terms, and not to spend too much time, but he didn't allow us to define our values as something that could be taken away. So it would be a spiritual element. So a lot of people, when we think of values, we're like, oh, my values are family, my values are my all of those are subject to loss, right? So in unity, and Reverend Chris Jackson really challenged us to define our primary value as an eternal element that could never be taken away. Values are really just what matters to you, innately, what matters to you. My dad values efficiency more than any other human I've ever met in my life. He loves efficiency. He is wired that way. For him to not be acting towards efficiency would be a bummer because it's a gift of his. My highest value I've identified as abundance, and I have a whole description for that we don't need to go into, but that is something I was born with. I love getting connected and living from my value of abundance. My little sister, I think of justice. If something is unjust, she can't let it go. I have a daughter that's very similar to this. Or I think of some people, my husband, I would guess his highest value is connection. He's just really connection oriented. And so it's really cool to identify a word, and this isn't for today. This is just maybe some homework. Again, try it on, take it if you like it. To identify a word that really embodies the values that you came here with so that you can live in that value. The second word that I'm going to mention about kind of starting your journey towards understanding your magic, your individual expression, your whatever word we want to call that, is instincts. Instincts is a word that I like to use to kind of decide or identify how you prefer to feel most of the time. I have a sister-in-law who loves cozying up with coffee and a good book. And then I am more of a, put me on with people. I like to feel inspired. I like to chat. I think that sometimes I'll give one other example. one of my kids likes to feel orderly. He likes to have things in order. He likes to know what's next. He's kind of predictable. When we can acknowledge how we prefer to feel most of the time, and again, the word I'm assigning to that is instincts, I believe we can actually create a life that allows us to feel that way. The third word that I believe is the start of the journey to self-exploration, to understanding your magic, is expressions. How you prefer to communicate, how you prefer to create, how you prefer to express, expressions. This includes your personal style, what you chose to wear, how you speak, what kind of art you do. And when you are clear about, I believe, these three areas being kind of the tip of the iceberg, the starting point of putting a highlighter pen to the gifts and the way you are wired, then it will help you begin to understand who you are and acknowledge who you are and appreciate who you are and be willing to offer who you are to the world. You know, I know I've mentioned this, before, but I keep using like 3 or 4 terms: unrepeatable expression, individual expression, your magic. And I just want to remind you that all of that is the same thing in my mind. Here is something that I had to reckon with when I decided that this is how I was going to see individual expression, how I was going to see purpose, how I was going to see authenticity. I hope this is making sense. I thought, well, if I know who I am and I know what makes me me, then shouldn't I just wake up that way every day? And I don't. I'm going to be honest with you. Some days I wake up and maybe it's a physical ailment. Maybe I have a headache or not feeling it. Maybe I'm not waking up. So I'm going to use my 3 words that I've decided for my values, my instincts, my expression. My 3 words are abundance, inspired, and vibrant. Those are my 3 words. So when I wake up in the morning and I'm not feeling abundant, inspired, or vibrant, then it is my priority then to get back there as fast as possible, because it is my gift to live there. So I have, let me ask you this. This is what I want to pitch. What does this look like? What does it look like to take responsibility for your magic? I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to this. Baptist preacher daughter here. 5 steps. They don't all start with the same letter, though, so we're good there. Has anyone ever experienced a Baptist church? Okay, you know, it's like you got the C, 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 or the P, 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 P. Don't worry, we're not doing that. Nothing against the Baptist either. I really love a good, what would that be called? It's not an acronym. Anyway, doesn't matter. What is it? Yeah, bullet points, yeah. All right, so 5 steps. What does it look like to take, let's just say, radical responsibility for your magic? Number 1, you have to know your magic, aka you have to know your individual expression. And you have to learn to appreciate it. This can be a journey that you go on your own. This could be a journey that you get help with. Can be a journey you hire help with. There's all sorts of options. But in order to take radical responsibility for the magic that you are, and also to commit to being that magic, both for yourself and for everyone around you, you have to commit to knowing it and getting clear about what it is. And I don't think this is a puzzle that will ever be solved. I think we'll always be learning new things about ourselves and growing in our self-reflection. But I think that it is really valuable once you know, hey, this is kind of the way I'm wired, then it kind of frees up a lot of things at least for me. Okay, so number 2, after you know your magic, be honest about your magic micronutrients. I was driving, I'll add a little bit to this before I tell the story. So I'll read it again. After you know your magic, step number 2 is to be honest about your magic micronutrients. I was driving. This summer has been both equally absolutely amazing with my kids, and it's also been pretty tough because naturally, I don't really love caretaking. It's not like, just like part of my gifts, I would say. And so I felt pretty depleted micronutriently. And I was driving the mower. I was mowing around the fruit trees, and I noticed that some fruit trees are booming with fruit, and then some are just like withered up and died, and then some are just kind of dormant. And I thought, gosh, it's so cool that the fruit trees have no shame about it. They're not like, oh my gosh, like, don't look at me. I'm not bearing fruit. They're just like, yeah, didn't get what I needed. All good. Just like pretty black and white. And how much energy, I might be alone in this, but how much energy have I wasted going, gosh, is it too much to ask for solitude? Like, shouldn't I be able to just make it without solitude? Or shouldn't I be able to make it without writing time? Or maybe should it be movement or nutrition or community or education or reading or a beach trip or whatever it is? We all have things about us. The way that we're wired is charged in different ways. We are refueled in different ways. And so to take an honest look of like, gosh, you know what? Solitude is important. My fruit tree blooms when I get solitude. So to be honest about what those things are and to kind of let the shame go and just be the fruit tree. Like, hey, if I'm going to put out some fruit this year, this is what I'm going to need. And that's that. That's the lesson from the fruit tree. So number 1, know your magic. Number 2, be honest about your magic micronutrients. Number 3, prioritize giving those micronutrients to yourself. Way easier said than done. This is hard. But it's especially hard when we doubt the impact that we can have personally and outwardly for ourselves and for how we live with others. If we're doubting that is even special at all, or that's even worth it at all, or that's even like something to prioritize, then it's really hard to prioritize giving that to yourself. And, I think of the perfect example of this in my mind is a mother. Let's just say a mother whose has kids ages like, let's just make it super dramatic, 3, 2, and 1, and 0. 4 kids, boom, 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 boom. And she's like not understanding her own energy and how powerful her own energy is in caring for these kids. And this goes for everything, not just a mother. This goes for in our work, in our home, in our relationships, in our life, all of that. If we don't understand the power and impact that we have, we probably won't prioritize it. Now, all of us on this side of the screen would be screaming to the mother, you're worth it. Go take a shower. Get that magic micronutrient. You're worth it. But sometimes that mother, and we've all been that mother, we don't think that it is worth it. We're like, no, that's all right. It's not really a priority for me to take care of myself. Maybe this is a psychiatry appointment. Maybe this is a therapy appointment. Maybe this is movement. Maybe this is nutrition, buying specific groceries. I don't know. We're all individual. All of our individual micronutrients are very different. So I'm not here to tell you what to do. In fact, I'm on the journey myself of figuring out what those are. But I do think that knowing that our impact is worth it is a really good place to start. All right, number 4. So number 1, know your own magic. Number 2, be honest about your magic micronutrients. Number 3, prioritize giving them to yourself. Number 4, take inventory routinely. I like to have a little trigger for myself when I look in the mirror, when I brush my teeth. Hey, how am I doing? Am I living in my values? Am I feeling the state that I want to feel, aka for me, inspired? Am I expressing myself? I like to check in a lot of times in the morning, and there are fruits that are the other way. I'm like, if I have a moment with my kids and I'm like, I don't have bandwidth right now, that's a sign that I need to be resourced. I'm not getting the micronutrients somewhere. Rest, sleep, the simple stuff. Okay, so number 5 is to have grace with yourself on the journey. This is not another way to perform. This isn't another way to achieve. This isn't another way to get a check mark. talking to myself, this is a journey that we're all on, and we probably all will be on, to work ourselves back to how can I be the most vibrant, the most alive, the most inspired, the most abundant version of myself possible. And I don't know about you, but I'll see these movies, or this week I got texts from almost all of my volleyball girls from last season. I'm not coaching right now, I coach club volleyball, and almost all of my girls texted and said, I made the school team. They're 12. I made the school team. Couldn't have done it without you, and I'm just like, it's not about the coaching. It's about the relationship, And I'm like, man, that's cool. That's a fruit of the, for whatever reason, whatever day I was able to be resourced and give to them, man, that's cool. Or these movies where you see people who, teachers years later, and their students come back and they're like, because of you, this and this and this. You see that teacher having been disciplined in giving themselves the micronutrients that they need, they were able to then live in their magic and give the magic. So my fourth grade daughter, as we kind of wrap up here, my fourth grade daughter read a book this week at school called What If Everybody Did That? And so it was kind of an idea of, if you throw trash on the ground, well, what if everybody did that? Then our earth would be dirtied. What if everybody said a cruel joke? Or what if everybody, so she's been asking me, what if everybody did that? And I had to bring that here today because I'm like, imagine a world where every person knew their gifts, knew their individual wiring, knew their magic, knew their individual expression, and took responsibility for bringing that into the world. I believe our world would be absolutely lit up. I believe our homes would be lit up and alive with people living in their magic. I believe we would see individual gifts seeping into jobs. And I even, think about communities that are thriving because people bringing themselves, their true selves to it, where every student understood and appreciated themselves and knew that it was their job to bring it to the world. And of course, the mother idea, where every mother didn't doubt her unique wiring and didn't discredit the impact she has and took responsibility for bringing her gifts to the world. And then, of course, I had to add an electrician because wiring, come on, where every electrician knew that their brain being wired the way that it was literally kept the grid going. Every trash truck driver, every school teacher, every person, whatever. Imagine a world where everyone walked around like they actually were an unrepeatable expression and stopped feeling shame for the ways that that's harming them or has been seen differently or misunderstood, capitalized on the ways that they were born. I'm inviting you today to be that and to just remove the word just from any I am statement when you're describing yourself, when you're describing your job, when you're describing your role. And I'm with you. I am just going to load the dishwasher. No, I am going to load this dishwasher. And with every dish I put in, I'm going to feel so inspired that I get to feed my kids. With every laundry load that I do, with every opportunity I have to get to engage, with every kid I get to coach in soccer, first grade boys, with every single interaction, I'm bringing my magic to the world. That is what I'm inviting you to do, to take away the just and start living in your magic, because you are an individual expression of love energy, ordered here divinely on purpose. Thank you for being here.